unhappiness can quietly take root in our lives. It is not always caused by great tragedy, but often by small, harmful habits we repeat each day without noticing. Letting go of these habits opens the door to peace, contentment, and joy. Ancient wisdom reminds us that happiness is not something we chase, but something we uncover when we stop clinging to what hurts us. Lesson 1. They relentlessly compare their lives to others. Comparison steals joy. When you measure your life against someone else's, you are focusing on what you believe you lack instead of appreciating what you have. The mind begins to chase an image of perfection that does not exist. Someone will always appear wealthier, more attractive, or more accomplished. But their life is not yours, and you cannot feel their joys or their struggles. By comparing, you set yourself up to live in someone else's shadow. This shadow blocks the light of your own blessings. To stop the habit, remind yourself that every journey is unique. Even a flower does not bloom in the same way as another beside it. Your pace, your experiences, and your challenges are your own. Instead of thinking, "Why not me?" begin to think, "I am grateful for my path." When you honor your individuality, you stop racing towards someone else's dream. You begin to focus on your own growth, which brings deeper satisfaction. You also learn that what you see in others is never the full truth. People rarely show their struggles openly. So, you may be comparing yourself to a polished surface hiding cracks beneath. Let go of the mental habit of scrolling through life with a measuring stick. Replace it with daily reflection on what you've achieved, no matter how small. This shift will free you from the trap of feeling inadequate. The more you accept yourself as you are, the less you care about competing for approval. That is where real peace begins, when you walk your own path without needing to match another's footsteps. Lesson 2. Dwelling on negatives fuels their unhappiness. Dwelling on the negative is like watering weeds. The more attention you give to what went wrong, the stronger your feelings of frustration, anger, or sadness grow. Life will always contain challenges. Painful events are unavoidable, but your mind decides how much power those events hold over you. If you replay mistakes, betrayals, or disappointments again and again, you trap yourself in the past. You cannot change what happened, but you can change how you respond now. This begins with awareness. Notice when your thoughts circle around problems without looking for solutions. Then, gently redirect them towards something constructive. That might mean focusing on lessons learned, or looking for the smallest positive element in the situation. Some people believe they are being realistic by concentrating on the bad, but true realism is seeing both the pain and the possibility. When you choose to look for the possibility, you are not ignoring reality, you are creating space for healing. Constant negativity affects more than your emotions. It drains your energy and affects how others see you. People feel the heaviness and may distance themselves, leaving you more isolated. If you want a lighter heart, train your mind to pause when it drifts toward destructive thoughts. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me? If the answer is no, let it go like a leaf floating down a stream. This practice takes time, but gets easier with patience. Eventually, you will find that you spend more time appreciating what is right in your life than resenting what went wrong. Happiness grows not because life becomes perfect, but because your mind no longer feeds what hurts you. You begin to rise above circumstances instead of sinking into them. Lesson 3. Blaming external factors relinquishes personal power. Blaming others or external conditions might feel satisfying for a moment, but it silently hands over your power. When you say your unhappiness is because of another person, an unfair system, or bad luck, you place your well-being in someone else's control. This makes you feel helpless and dependent on others to change before you can be happy. Life will always present circumstances you cannot control. The weather changes. People disappoint you. Plans fall apart. But your response is always within your reach. Taking responsibility for your reactions does not mean ignoring injustice or excusing wrong behavior. It means choosing how you will act despite them. This is the heart of personal freedom. You may not control the waves, but you can learn to steer your boat. When you stop blaming, you open the door to solutions. Your focus shifts from what others should do to what you can do. This shift transforms frustration into empowerment. It reminds you that your happiness is not tied to perfect conditions, but to your mindset. Those who stop blaming begin to notice opportunities they once overlooked. They start to act instead of waiting. They feel lighter because they no longer carry the burden of resentment toward forces outside themselves. Taking ownership is not always comfortable. It requires honesty and humility. You must admit that you may have played a role in your own suffering, even if small. But this honesty is a gift, because it frees you from waiting on anyone else to give you peace. You become the author of your own response, and in doing so, you reclaim the ability to create a life of meaning, regardless of what happens around you. Lesson 4. Holding grudges poisons their inner peace. A grudge is like carrying a burning coal in your hand, hoping it will hurt the other person. In truth, it only burns you. Holding on to anger keeps old wounds fresh. Each time you think about the person who wronged you, you relive the pain. This constant replay keeps you tied to the very event you wish never happened. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. It is not saying the harm was acceptable or forgetting it ever happened. It is choosing to free yourself from the emotional weight that drags you down. When you forgive, you stop letting the past control your present. You protect your peace by refusing to be chained to resentment. This act benefits you more than anyone else. Those who hold grudges often believe they are protecting themselves from being hurt again. But the opposite is true. The grudge becomes the very thing that hurts them daily. Letting go can feel difficult because the mind clings to the idea of justice. Yet, justice is not always something you can deliver. Life has its own way of balancing. Release the desire for revenge and focus on living fully now. You will notice your heart becoming lighter and your mind calmer. You will also discover that forgiveness is a form of strength. It takes courage to drop the coal and walk away. Your peace matters more than your pride. The moment you truly release the grudge, you make space for joy, compassion, and clarity to return. It is a gift you give yourself, one that opens the door to a life unburdened by the weight of old pain. Lesson 5. A persistent lack of gratitude obscures life's blessings. When you fail to practice gratitude, you overlook the countless good things that surround you. The mind begins to take for granted what once felt like blessings. You forget the comfort of a safe place to sleep, the warmth of a meal, the presence of people who care. Instead, you focus on what you do not have, which creates a sense of scarcity and restlessness. Gratitude shifts your attention from absence to abundance. Even in difficult times, there are moments of beauty and kindness to notice a smile from a stranger, the sound of rain, the breath in your lungs. When you choose to see these small gifts, you feed your mind with positivity. This practice changes how you experience each day. Life's imperfections become easier to bear when you also see what is good. Those who lack gratitude often chase bigger achievements or possessions, believing happiness will come when they get them. Yet when they arrive, the joy fades quickly because the habit of appreciation has not been developed. Gratitude is not a reaction to perfection. It is a discipline that trains the mind to see value in the imperfect. One way to build this habit is to pause each day and name 3 things you appreciate. Over time, this rewires your mind to naturally notice blessings instead of flaws. Gratitude also strengthens relationships, as people feel valued when you express appreciation for them. The more you live with thankfulness, the more you realize that contentment does not depend on what you gain, but on how you see what you already have. This shift invites happiness to take root and grow. Lesson 6. They withdraw from meaningful social connection. Humans are not meant to walk through life alone. Isolation slowly wears down the spirit, even if you tell yourself you prefer to be independent. Meaningful connections bring comfort, understanding, and shared joy. Without them, the mind can drift into loneliness, and loneliness often feeds sadness and self-doubt. Withdrawal may start as a way to protect yourself from hurt, but over time, it becomes a habit that limits your ability to feel truly alive. When you spend time with people who genuinely care, you feel supported. They remind you that you are not alone in your struggles. They also challenge you to grow and see the world in new ways. Even a simple conversation can lift your mood. Avoiding connection deprives you of this nourishment. While solitude has its place for reflection, it should not become a permanent wall. Breaking the habit of withdrawal starts with small steps: replying to a message, accepting an invitation, or initiating a meeting. Relationships do not need to be perfect or free from conflict to be valuable. They require patience, forgiveness, and effort, but they also give back in countless ways. Those who nurture their connections tend to handle life's challenges better because they have people to lean on. They laugh more, share more, and feel a greater sense of belonging. If you feel tempted to hide away, remember that the door to connection opens both ways. You must reach out as well as receive. In doing so, you allow warmth and companionship to flow into your life, dissolving much of the unhappiness that isolation breeds. Lesson 7. Resisting change prevents growth and new joy. Change is one of the few constants in life. Resisting it only creates struggle. Many people cling to what is familiar because it feels safe, even when it no longer serves them. They stay in unhappy situations, keep old habits, or hold outdated beliefs simply to avoid uncertainty. But growth happens when you step beyond what you know. Every transformation, whether chosen or forced, opens a doorway to new experiences and possibilities. Resisting change closes that door before you can see what lies beyond. The fear of change often comes from imagining the worst. The mind paints pictures of loss, failure, or regret. Yet change can also bring better opportunities, healthier relationships, and deeper understanding. To embrace it, focus on the potential instead of the fear. See change as a teacher rather than an enemy. Even difficult transitions carry lessons that can strengthen you. Acceptance does not mean you must like every change. It means you acknowledge it and choose to adapt rather than fight reality. Those who accept change with openness often discover strengths they did not know they had. They grow more resilient and flexible, which makes future changes less frightening. Life moves forward whether you resist or not. When you choose to move with it, you find a rhythm that feels more natural. Change becomes less of a threat and more of an opportunity to explore new joy. By loosening your grip on the past, you free your hands to receive what the future offers. Lesson 8. Chronic worrying paralyzes their present moment. Worry is the mind's attempt to control the future, but it robs you of today. Chronic worrying traps you in a cycle of fear and overthinking. You imagine scenarios that may never happen, yet your body reacts as if they already are. This constant state of tension drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and leaves little space for peace. Worrying about the future does not prevent challenges. It only makes you suffer twice. Once in your mind now, and again if the event happens later. The present moment is the only place where you can take action and experience life fully. When you focus too much on what if, you miss the beauty of what is. To break free, practice bringing your attention back to now. Notice your surroundings. Pay attention to your breath. Engage in activities that anchor you in the present, like walking outside or creating something with your hands. Accept that uncertainty is part of life. You cannot predict every outcome, but you can prepare without obsessing. Replace the habit of imagining worst-case scenarios with visualizing positive possibilities. Over time, this shifts your mind from fear to hope. Chronic worry is a habit that can be unlearned with patience and awareness. The less you feed it, the weaker it becomes. Soon, you will find yourself more at ease, able to meet challenges when they come, rather than exhausting yourself long before they arrive. Lesson 9. Neglecting self-care depletes their overall well-being. When you ignore your own needs, you slowly drain your ability to live well. Self-care is not selfish. It is the foundation that allows you to show up fully in life. Without it, your body becomes tired, your mind becomes foggy, and your emotions become harder to manage. Many people neglect self-care because they feel too busy or believe they must put others first. Over time, this leads to burnout, resentment, and even illness. Caring for yourself means paying attention to all aspects of your well-being, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. It includes rest, nourishing food, movement, reflection, and time for activities that bring joy. When you care for yourself, you strengthen your ability to handle stress and make better decisions. You also set an example for those around you, showing that it is possible to be responsible and compassionate without sacrificing your health. Neglect often comes from the false belief that pushing yourself harder will lead to greater success. In reality, rest and renewal make you more productive and creative. Even small acts like taking a short walk, breathing deeply, or setting boundaries can have a powerful effect on your mood and energy. Self-care is not a luxury, but a necessity. The more you practice it, the more you will notice how it lifts your spirit, steadies your mind, and fuels your happiness. Lesson 10. Seeking constant external validation erodes self-worth. Relying on others for approval makes your happiness fragile. When your sense of worth depends on praise, likes, or recognition, you hand control of your self-esteem to the world outside you. External validation can feel good, but it fades quickly, leaving you hungry for more. This constant need can lead you to change who you are just to please others. Over time, you lose touch with your own voice and values. True confidence comes from knowing your worth without needing it confirmed by others. This means setting your own standards for success and living by them. When you act in ways that align with your values, you feel a deep sense of satisfaction that does not depend on anyone else's opinion. Breaking the habit of seeking approval starts with awareness. Notice when you do things just to be liked or admired. Ask yourself, would I still choose this if no one saw or praised me? The more you act from your authentic self, the less you crave outside validation. This shift is powerful. It frees you from the exhausting chase for acceptance and allows you to enjoy relationships without using them as mirrors for your worth. Approval from others can be a gift, but it should never be the foundation of your self-esteem. Build that foundation within, and you will stand firm no matter what others say or think.